I would like to begin our conversation with a gesture that is deeply significant and therefore profoundly beautiful. This Namaste or Namaskar, this greeting whose origins lies in India and Nepal. Used when saying hello and goodbye to people, it is a way of acknowledging that the divine essence inside us can also be found in every other creature. Recognizing this state of unity and equality by putting the palms of your hands together is a way of honoring the divine qualities of the other people, their divine potential, and the sacredness that you recognize as being the same as yours. So, Namaste, dear brothers and sisters. Well, an international survey has shown that almost everyone of all races and cultures love flowing water. Flowing water that you can see in rivers and streams. Human beings find it beautiful. And there is something atavistic about the reason why. Flowing water epitomizes life and the strong chains of survival. In contrast with, for example, the stagnant water in puddles. There is something beautiful about biological evolution. We are the fruit of the choices of our forebears. Besides, we know that love is naturally attracted by beauty. Although it is only in the light of pure love that true beauty and the bliss described by poets can be perceived. One could say that loving means perceiving beauty on both a personal level and universally. All of the beauty that we see in the world and in the things around us is nothing but an imperfect reflection of the beauty within us. Rather than an aesthetic value based on fashion and conformism, we are talking about beauty with a capital B, that dynamic spiritual force providing the soul gateway to spiritual evolution for human beings. This beauty has key characteristics such as order, harmony, rhythm, and proportion, which it shares with the manifestation and with the work of the Logos. At the same time, beauty is well represented by those virtues that we could call fundamental or spiritual. Humility, innocence, purity, and love are all examples of these virtues, which sum up the core nature or the essence of the soul. Harmony is innate and latent in unconditioned or spiritual nature. When it is displayed in a form of beauty, it is an instance of beauty of the soul, which, in my opinion, is superior to all forms of external beauty. As previously mentioned, though, if the mind and heart are not in harmony, it is only possible to perceive duality with all the limits that it brings. of course. What about, for example, the entrancing beauty of the silence that fills human beings when their minds shut down during activities such as meditation, or when the wonders of nature are seen, or when we see the wonders of nature, or what any other thing, any other beauty, any other thing beautiful. These wonders take our breath away. And I don't think that it is purely superficial observation that makes such a big impression on us. I firmly believe that there are many beings working on all the planes of existence that create beauty in order to guide us towards the discovery of the new boundaries of who we are. In my opinion, beauty gives depth and meaning to life and can take endless forms. We just need to be able to recognize them. For example, I have always been totally fascinated by traditional Japanese culture, where there is a constant search for harmonious values in all things. First and foremost, this takes the shape of the austere beauty of simplicity. Despite what people may think, this is extremely refined, because at the heart of it all is the idea of removing things, making room, and focusing attention on proportion or on empty spaces rather than full ones. This simplicity and aesthetic experience has clearly defined characteristics, and at the same time, it is in perfect harmony with nature and the environment. With their elegant and almost impalpable aesthetic paradigms, the Japanese talk of wabi-sabi. That is a kind of conscious minimalism. It is an imperfect, impermanent, and incomplete beauty that can only be discerned after years of contemplation. Wabi-sabi teaches people to move away from the idea of total perfection and to develop a profound awareness of that beauty that goes beyond the appearances of things. Essentially, it is a kind of exercise, a kind of meditation, but not only for the creator of all of this work, of this thing, but also for the observers. An ecstatic experience can hold the key to transcendence. I dream of visiting Japan one day, and I imagine that these creations encourage a great silence around them. But rather than the silence of empty solitude, I have in mind that velvety, soft silence whose embrace is willingly accepted, because the song of infinity lies hidden among its folds. The concept of the austere beauty of simplicity and the culture of essentiality is also typically associated with monastic orders and their simple life. And this calls to my mind an anecdote that I was told by the theosophist Vicente Hauchin, that you know. I'm sure that you know him. He said me that when he visited Auroville, the community founded in honor of the famous yogi Sri Aurobindo in Tamil Nadu, South India, he had a guide who told him about the thousands of residents, the small workshops, the stores, and the general organizational matters. And he said me that he was struck by one thing in particular. There was a free shop where people could take whatever they found on the shelves for free, for no charge, as long as they, in turn, took in items when they no longer needed them at home. Giving them available for others. He was amazed by this initiative and could not quite believe it, because he thought that in Manila or in any other place in the world, it would probably end up closing within a couple of days. He asked how long it had been open, and they told him that it had not been there for long, but that since it had opened, the number of items available had increased. After 17 years, he got the opportunity to go back and visit the community again. This is Auroville seen from the sky. He was keen to know if the free shop was still there and how things were going. He was told that there were now 2 shops instead of just one. And this story represents for me the power of being able to put into practice the concept of essentiality, the capacity to let go, also on the material level. Now, I would like to go back to the topic of nice gestures, both extrinsically, take the tea ceremony, for instance, and intrinsically. Well, I don't know, but I believe that also in English you say, what a nice gesture, when somebody has done something special. Among the countless examples that I would like to give you is Spielberg's 1987 film Empire of the Sun. And this film, Jamie or Jim Graham, is the young teenage son of wealthy British parents living in Shanghai. Jim loves airplanes. And after Japan invades China, he ends up in an internment camp. One day, he sees a man playing with the beautiful model plane on the other side of the barbed wire. His eyes light up with wonder and desire. And when a gust of wind sends the plane over the fence, his feelings about it are so apparent that the man on the other side of the barbed wire gives the plane up for lost. Jim instead picks it up, but he does not keep it for himself. Instead, he sends it back to his rightful owner with a finely caged throw that shows that he is an experienced hand in the field. A remarkable, profound sense of joy can be seen in him, thanks, in part, also to the happy, incredulous, and respectful look on the face of the person benefiting from his gesture. Making what we do beautiful does not mean necessarily complying with aesthetic rules. It is about being in tune, in harmony on many fronts, including aspects of goodness and truth, which in that way are exalted and glorified. Albert Einstein said that what is impenetrable to us really exists, manifesting itself as the highest wisdom and the most radiant beauty. So, we are talking about beauty and wisdom, beauty and truth. Plato said that beauty is the splendor of truth. And this is an idea that I hold very dear. And it makes me think of someone who embodied all of this, Jiddu Krishnamurti. Krishnamurti he embodied that truth and that wisdom that he was talking about. This way of being made a big impression on people, made the same to me when I met him. I was very young, I was 20, but I met him, and this same impression I had. And he had a silent presence, a presence with a vast extent. This presence was all that it took to evoke something incommensurable. Somebody said that he had a supreme presence, a presence that could not possibly be classified under any categories of saints or sannyasi. Krishnamurti often talked of beauty and love in an attempt to guide our attention, the attention to his listeners, towards the shining wonders of nature, the flow of love that he perceived, and the depth, beauty, and glory of existence. Krishnamurti even compared sex to a tender flower, an intense flame, delicate and rare. He said that you need to be careful because it is so beautiful and delicate that it is easily destroyed. Sometimes he warned people to be careful when taking practices such as yoga, but of course not only yoga, too extreme, because it might mean blunting their senses and losing their sensitivity to beauty. He cautioned against becoming snowed under with work, because he said that the most important thing of all is our inner change. In his eyes, a part in this process was played by contemplation of the beauty of nature. For example, I remember him comparing the banyan tree in Adyar to a temple with many columns. This banyan tree has stood there for more than 440 years and is one of the oldest of this kind in the world. He's a kind of personality there in Adyar. It is a presence there. Krishnamurti said that man lacks a sense of beauty. Beauty as sensitivity, but not only physically, but also the beauty of the heart and mind. In his words, to be sensitive is to be intelligent. He asked, can one be aware of the extraordinary beauty of the earth, the richness of a rice field, the beauty of a face, of a smile, and the sadness of tears? Without such understanding, not only of the beauty that the eye sees, but of the beauty of clear, unspotted perception, man can never be free of violence. And he continued that to understand violence, one has to be free of the world. And one cannot be free if there is no sensitivity to the beauty of everything about you. There must be freedom to find out what love is. And he said, you know, the word freedom is a dangerous word. Freedom for most people means to do what they would like to do. A freedom from social restrictions, from social morality. But freedom from something is one thing, and freedom for itself is another. And he continued, only in denial can we find freedom. Only if we learn what disorder is, will we have order. You have been given a piece of earth, and what are you to do with that earth? To grow plants on it, you must have energy, passion, drive, intensity. If you live this way, then the treasure you have discovered becomes clear, vibrant, alive. Beautiful words, inspiring. And in this period, especially, I want now to talk about the relationship about Samdong Rinpoche, that is one of the most trusted associates of the Dalai Lama, that when he was the principal of the Central Institute of Higher Tibetan Studies in Sarnath in the 70s, he met and had a number of conversations with Jiddu Krishnamurti. And subsequently, he stated, if you perceive the passion that flows from Jiddu Krishnamurti, you will see that he has no limits. The majority of teachers have limited approaches, but JK's is boundless. The essence of JK's teachings could be summed up in his own words in this short sentence. Where you are, the other is not. And I find this approach of his to, what can we say, sacred actions, to mysticism, very similar to that of mystics in general, and in particular to that of certain Sufis. Listen, for example, to Rumi's words in The Fire of Divine Love. They said, everywhere there is the light of God, but all men cry, where is that light? Where is that light? The ignorant look everywhere, to the right, to the left, but a voice says, look only, without right and left. And here we can find all of the strength of Krishnamurti's concept of unconditional observation. In The I, he describes a conversation with a person who had still not found the peace and bliss of which the great masters speak, despite years of meditation, experimentation, discipline, and denial. Not to mention the level of control that he had reached over his thoughts and emotions. On rare occasions, he had experienced enlightening moments of deep ecstasy, but it seemed to him that he was unable to pierce the illusion of his own mind. And this was making him suffer a great deal. So he turned to Krishnamurti. And here is what Krishnamurti said about their encounter. He said, we were sitting on the bank of a wide river. We were close to the water. The town was up the river, some distance away. A boy was singing on the other bank. The sun was setting behind us, and there were heavy shadows on the water. It was a beautiful, still evening with masses of clouds toward the east, and the deep river seemed hardly to be flowing. But to all this expanding beauty, the man was completely oblivious. He was wholly absorbed in his problems. We were silent, and he had closed his eyes. But his stern face was calm, and inwardly there was an intense struggle going on. A flock of birds settled down at the water's edge. Their cries must have carried across the river, for presently another flock came from the other shore and joined them. There was a timeless silence covering the earth. And J.K. continues after this point, of course, but it is already apparent from his words that the only way for the man to find relief from his pain and his vanquished feelings is to live in the moment, to embrace the here and now, to contemplate beauty and timeless wonders, in so freeing his mind from thoughts and conditionings. I wanted to put Rumi and Krishnamurti side by side because I firmly believe that all sacred experiences and all experiences of truth and its beauty are bound to have aspects in common. Otherwise, what sort of truth would it be? Here we have an interesting advice given in the Upanishad. They say that it is best to stay far away from the truth, but once you have understood it, you need to put it into practice and take action. And Krishnamurti said the same. Stay away from it, from truth, if you are not serious. Stay away from truth if you are not serious. It's an incredible quotation. Well, we are all facets of the same universal soul, but it is easy for us to lose our way when we endeavor to comprehend the complicated mechanisms of the global process of existence. For example, take the speed at which the Earth rotates on its axis. Right now, at this very moment, we are spinning around at approximately 1,700 kilometers per hour. And on top of that, you need to add the speed at which we are going around the sun. The Earth is orbiting the sun at just 30 kilometers a second, 30 kilometers a second. And furthermore, our solar system is moving through space at 70,000 kilometers per hour. In turn, our galaxy is estimated to move at 3,600,000 kilometers per hour. It is amazing to picture that incredible vortex of which we are not conscious, of course, and even more so, to imagine someone watching the spiraling movement of the solar system, the galaxy, and more besides, just as we look at similar shapes in shells or swirling clouds. Here we have some shells and some swirling clouds. And now I would like to show you a small film. Let me see if I am able to do it by myself. I'm sorry to do it like that, but I had to do because I have to share. Sorry, just a moment. I hope to be able to do it as before. Well. Can you see? Can you hear it? Thank you so much. So I'd like to make this small film because this vortex, this spiral is can really represent also our evolution. We are not just rotating, we are spiraling, always going up and up. And it is beautiful. It is a kind of harmonization when I see this animation. So, from an occult point of view, beautiful, good, and true are three words that describe the same thing. Because when any one of them is experienced, it throws open the gateway of the absolute, of which the other two are an integral part. Our perception of truth in general is limited, but it increases as our consciousness gradually grows. And step by step, we get to grips with the highest aspects of our existence. We can call these aspects Atma and Buddhi, and they enable us to feel the profound unity and the interconnection in the universe on all levels. These aspects make us act ethically, not out of mental choice, but because of feelings so profound that they do not require mental filters or further considerations of any kind. There are many people who give their take on the truth, because there are many ways, many faiths, many religions, and many creeds that are in conflict with each other. So, that way it is easy to forget where the exit from the labyrinth lies. We strive to slake our thirst for the absolute, for the beauty and the truth, which gradually begins to appear more and more unquenchable. I believe if we all are here, it is because we are trying to slake our thirst for the absolute beauty and truth. When we are looking at a sculpted block of marble, at a statue, for example, if we are only capable of appreciating the external beauty, the form, then we are not yet ready for the path that leads to the absolute. Nonetheless, beauty, or at least the concept of beauty, is already within us, even though we may not realize it. On this front, the advice from the theosophical literature is to practice the truth in thoughts, words, and deeds, in order to develop a spiritual vision that frees us from all illusions. We had a very important example from Radha Bornier. She explained that theosophy involves learning about life and fulfilling its beauty and meaning. She said, those who work towards this become a light that shines beauty, harmony, kindness, and love on everyone. If what we are studying does not change the quality of our relationships and attitudes, then there is something missing in our way of understanding theosophy. As Gina Rajadasa said, in 1957, those who love beauty understand the theosophy with the depth of meaning that can't be reached by those who limit their vision of theosophy to nothing more than a form of religion. On our journey or pilgrimage alongside all sentient beings, theosophy can help us to discover something really exhilarating, the model of beauty and perfect proportion between all things, and the simple integrity of creation itself, and all aspects of manifestation, from the highest hierarchies to the most humble of beings. There are two main topics in the secret doctrine. The first concerns the purpose or meaning of existence in both human and other forms. And the second regards the intelligent laws that pervade and guide every part of creation, right down to the smallest creatures. Such is the beauty and the perfect harmony of the vast picture of which we are an integral part. Such is the perfect unity, interconnection, and interrelation of the energy that are in play, that the tiniest disturbance in any thread in the net causes repercussions throughout its entire fabric. And this is summed up by the words of the 19th century poet Francis Thompson. Beautiful words. All things by immortal power, near or far, hidden to each other linked are, that thou canst steer a flower without troubling of a star. Joy Mills marvelously summed up the meaning of the teaching based on ancient wisdom that were presented by Blavatsky in the Secret Doctrine, referring to the two main topics in this way. The meaning of existence and the law permeating it were summed up in these few words. To be is to be responsible. In its most comprehensive and profound meaning, being means being fully conscious of everything, including the laws that govern this manifestation, and thus our responsibility as actors on a stage whose rules we should know fairly well. That is, this is one of the meaning of my theosophical affiliation, to know these rules. I would like to underline that karma stems from conscious actions. It is the great law of moral responsibility, and something in which we can be an active and a significant part. It is something to which we can contribute, even if we think that we are only playing a small part. After all, remember the flower and the star. It is a way in which we can bring about change. And as in the words of the Dalai Lama, if you think that you are too small to make a difference, try sleeping with a mosquito. In Cosmogenesis, in the Secret Doctrine, Blavatsky explained that the word has called forth out of chaos by sound or harmony, and constructed according to the principles of musical proportion. if we participate in this beautiful harmony and learn to move on the same wavelength as established by the divine, with which we are essentially one, we will discover the truth and beauty of our being and the supreme order at the true heart of which are bliss and peace. If we work to benefit all beings by trying to lead harmonious lives, we will be beautiful inside and we will create harmony. Whether we realize it or not, we leave a trace wherever we go. It is important to us, for us, to remember this because it is a trace that leads towards goodness, and then it could provide a path for someone else to follow in the same direction. Our trail is marked out by thoughts, words, and actions. Well, I would like to leave you with the exceptional words of Jiddu Krishnamurti, one of the greatest spiritual revolutionaries I know. He said, be extraordinary, exceptional, formidable, be alert, be revolutionary, make a new discovery every day, perform anonymous acts of kindness, keeping trace of them solely in your mind, like delicate flowers. Truth can only be found with an innocent heart, which is capable of seeing beauty everywhere. So, friends, choose to tune into beauty and experience it. Make everything that you do beautiful. In my opinion, that is how we can serve all beings, because it means that all of our actions will be not only beautiful, but also good and true. And let we always carry this beauty inside us. It will be like carrying around a fragrant flower that leaves in its wake a scent of the heavens, a trace of it, to the benefit of all beings. Thank you for your kind attention.